We haven't met them on offense. Thankfully, our defense has not only been opportunistic but stout, holding them to field goals in the red zone, taking the ball away, putting us in good field position. It's time for us to do our part on offense moving forward. We're going to play some, a stretch of really good football teams, and at some point, we can't expect our defense to shut everybody down. They have been, but at some point, the offense is going to have to wake up and start making some plays.
Joining us now, playmaker himself, Marcus Spears. How we doing?
I'm doing great. Y'all look good in there. I actually had a mean face on because I know I'm about to hear a bad man and he is that dude. I know I'm about to hear all of that crazy stuff.
I know you better watch your manners, man. Don't be sitting there speaking for me before I speak.
What's going on, big fella?
Shoot.
He was in a bad mood till I sent him that facial recognition video from Twitter.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you for being the bright spot on this show.
Marcus, you were in a bad mood till I texted you that thing from Twitter where the woman was trying to get the man's facial recognition.
That's unbelievable. That is
unbelievable. That brightened up your day.
We all, hey, listen, Marcus, we all know she don't even need to open the phone after he put forth that effort. He already guilty. He's already guilty.
Everything she thinks and more.
Everything she thinks and absolutely.
She doesn't need the facial recognition. A guilty conscience needs no accuser.
He was in the Matrix. He was bending back like
he really was.
Like
Seriously.
Neo.
He was. He did look like Neo.
By the way,
not an exaggeration.
Can I just say one thing? I just learned, I didn't know people really do that to each other. Like why they sleep, they turn on the lights and get facial recognition.
I had no idea.
And they take their thumbs when they're sleeping. Like I didn't know this was a real thing.
You're saying that right. Right, as though that hasn't happened with you.
No, I don't need to do that.
I know wifey don't do it.
I don't even know that people do that.
Listen, there's only one hope the guy has before we move on. There's only one hope. Eddie Murphy, stand up, years ago. Right? I don't know if it was delirious or something, but he went like this. Wasn't me.
Right.
And then went like this. Hey!
There was a song about it, but we should probably get this.
That's his only hope.
Shaggy?
That's his only hope.
Oh, my God.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Right. Stephen, I'll start with you. Should Rodgers feel more or less pressure? With the team being on the hot start, they're 3-0, but the offense is actually struggling.
He has to feel more pressure, and here's the reason why it's necessary. He's on pace to have his worst completion percentage of his career right now. Last year was at 62%. This year is at 61%. Okay, he threw for over 4,400 yards, 25 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. All right, finished with a quarterback rating of 97 last year, and that was like low for him. This year is worse. They are undefeated, and it's primarily because they have the number 2 ranked defense in the entire NFL. As an offense, Aaron Rodgers is completing 61% of his passes. As an offense, they're ranked 23rd in points, 28th in yards. Their passing attack with Aaron Rodgers is ranked 27th. Their leading receiver right now is Davante Adams. Obviously, he doesn't even have 200 yards in 3 games. So when you look at it from that perspective, the bottom line is you have to couple that with the fact that Mike McCarthy is no longer there, primarily because of his relationship with Aaron Rodgers having gone sour, primarily because he got blamed for some of the dissipation in Aaron Rodgers' performance that we witnessed. Well, now you've got LaFleur, and here you are winning football games, all right? Winning football games. I'm sorry. If your defense is showing up and they're performing, and we're directly able to point to the offense as the Achilles heel for the Green Bay Packers, that's all on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers. No way around it.
I actually think there's less pressure because they're undefeated right now, and there are different kinds of pressure. Is there more pressure in the long run for him to do something with a team that can play defense? Yeah. But in terms of the day-to-day performance of Aaron Rodgers, it takes a little something off his shoulders. You know, when you think about his skills position, right, he doesn't have anyone elite, really. Do you still consider or Davante Adams is a good receiver. It's not exactly Julio Jones. He has good skills position players, but no one who jumps out at you like, oh, my God, look at that back or look at that wideout. That's all pro level, all world level guy. And because the defense is finally playing for him, when was the last time Rodgers had a real defense? He doesn't there's not as much pressure on him to win every game. I think in the long run, that's good. It'll help him relax, kind of accept the system, work with LaFleur. Did I say that well?
Yeah.
Work with LaFleur.
Gotta let it drag. LaFleur.
But I mean, like, the bottom line is he couldn't really be playing worse than he's playing now. It's not that it's not possible to play worse than Aaron Rodgers is playing now. It's that he couldn't put any worse numbers up than he does. Like, this is the bottom for Aaron Rodgers in terms of productivity. It's likely to go up, but he doesn't for the first time, maybe in his whole career. The pressure is off in terms of him having to do everything to help them win.
See, here's the thing, all right, and I love this conversation, and I agree with Stephen A. on this point, Max, because when we talk about Aaron Rodgers, like how you just talked about him in that vein, for years previous, it's been all about, well, he's doing this without a defense. He's doing this without offensive players. The Green Bay Packers have not helped Aaron Rodgers at all with the guys that they've acquired offensively. And I agree. They don't have – Devontae is really a really, really good receiver. But when you look at this offensive talent, it's not transcendent by any means. Aaron Rodgers has been the catalyst. But we've always thought about Aaron Rodgers in the vein that he lifts teams out of just being mediocre around him because of his greatness, which I think he still is. And to another point, there is pressure on Aaron Rodgers, I think, too, because of Matt LaFleur and what we talked about before the season started as far as the synergy between these guys and how would this work with Aaron Rodgers kind of curtailing some of the things that Matt wanted to do as opposed to Matt curtailing the things that Aaron wanted to do. It's great they have a great defense. And from a football game, like an in-game, in between the white lines perspective, it takes a lot of pressure off Aaron Rodgers, knowing that he doesn't have to go out here and make fourth quarter runs and try to be spectacular at the end of games and throw Hail Marys to win games. But with that being said, we cannot not we can't begin to hold Aaron Rodgers to a lesser standard because he has a better offense, because we've held him to a higher standard and called him the man and talked about how great he is because he's lifted a bad team out of bad situations. So I want to give him credit for doing that, but I also can't give him a pass because he has a really good defense, so the pressure is off. We've talked about Aaron Rodgers winning another Super Bowl and really being in that conversation for being one of the greatest to ever play the position, if not the greatest. So this is his opportunity. Preston Smith is Zaire.
I'm not giving him a pass. There's a lot. I said before the season, there's a ton of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Stephen A. and I argued that. Who's there more pressure on, LaFleur or Rodgers? I think there's a ton. The question is, given the hot start, is there now more or less? And I actually think there's less because now the pressure for him to do everything
Max, it's
is
more,
off.
though. It's more because nobody's going to point to the defense. Nobody's going to point to that. We've always said Aaron Rodgers lifted a team deficient of offensive stars. But if your defense balling like this, the perception that we have of Aaron Rodgers is for him to lift this team to be a legit playoff contender from an offensive standpoint. There's more pressure on him because his defense is doing well.
Marcus, I'll take it a step further. Not only are we not going to point to the defense, we're not going to point to the coaching. We've been pointing to the coaching. We've been talking to Mike McCarthy, his archaic tendencies, things of that nature. We're not going to even point to management because where's the help for Aaron Rodgers? How come he can't have a defense? What's Ted Thompson, Murphy and those boys back in the day? What were they doing?
Absolutely.
Etc. These are all questions that have invaded the Green Bay Packers. Now, we all know, Max, even you have to admit, there is no one that has raved about Aaron Rodgers more than me. I meant every word I said all of these years. He's a bad man. Make no mistake about it. He's that dude. I still believe in him. But I would be remiss in neglecting to point out that the present state of circumstances has his fingerprints all over it. An improved defense, giving him some help, taking the pressure off of him of having to go on the field every single possession and produce points because you knew the defense was going to give up points. The coaching, front office, personnel added to him. Aaron Rodgers appears to have most of what he wanted. You cannot then turn around and fail to beat Aaron Rodgers in the midst of flagrant improvements in all the categories that everyone else surmised needed to be improved.
That's why I said there are different kinds of pressure. If the idea is, look, they're still not favored to win the Super Bowl. If I asked you guys who's going to win the Super Bowl, no one's taking the Packers before the season.
Got a chance.
No one's taking them now, right? What I'm saying is on a game-to-game basis, the level of improvising, and you mentioned it, the Hail Marys at the end of games, the pressure is not on him to have to do everything. How often have we said Aaron Rodgers can't also play defense? Now he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to do everything.
Right.
He can play with anything for the first time in his career.
We got to hit a break. I want to get this in, though. Over the last 2 seasons, Aaron Rodgers leads the NFL in throwaways, worst completion percentage under duress, and has taken the most sacks on third down. Sorry, Marcus. We'll talk soon. Mahomes, Jackson, Russell, Dak, Deshaun, just a few of the stars dominating the NFL. Don't miss our discussion on the state of the Black